Here's what's coming into view on Elevating Denver for October 2022. Enter the Theater of the Mind with Executive Director Charlie Miller.
It's an exciting experience that's a hybrid of science, storytelling, and design, and it's a really unique adventure for audiences.
Experts and advocates discuss the challenges of fentanyl in our community.
Really, the goal of the conference is to save lives and show people that everyone has a role in that.
And Denver's community media wants you to join today.
This place gives us the power to exercise our freedom of speech.
These stories and more are just ahead on Elevating Denver.
So Denver Community Media is a product of the City and County of Denver's strategic efforts to modernize and make sustainable our public access program. My role, I'm the Community Access Manager at DCM, so I oversee operations and the facility and staff. This has been my baby since I started with the city 7 years ago. So we had this vision of a modern model of community access, and we worked on policies, procedures, dotting our I's, crossing our T's, making sure that everything was covered. And this program is close to my heart, and we all work really hard to make sure that it's successful and sustainable. And it's really cool to see these members come on site.
My name is Julius Hinton. I'm a member at Denver Community Media, producer. I was getting ready to move back here. My partner, Graffiti sent me, said, "Hey man, this place is opening up." And then, I'm looking through the website. I'm like, they have a podcast studio, they got a TV studio, they got all this stuff. I mean, it was during winter break, right after Christmas. So I want to say like the very beginning of this year. We were knocking on the door asking for a tour, and I was floored by the facility, asking how we can get in there, and got a membership, got an all-access membership, and started taking classes right away, and it's been a home run ever since.
This isn't just an AV club where people can come on site and hang out. It is the city's effort to provide equitable access to those individuals that historically haven't had access to these types of tools, to this type of equipment, this caliber of equipment.
So here's this one, I can even program it to do different, there's a wide shot. If you had somebody sitting there would be a single shot.
But our focus at DCM is really workforce training and skill development. We try to, we have classes that are $25 an hour, and we make our classes 2 to 3 hours long so that people can come on site and they can gain basic experience. And then the goal is for them to continue coming on site. Our memberships are as much as $10 a month. We have different tiers available. We've partnered with Emily Griffith Technical College, and they hold their 11-month AV program on site in our classroom and in our studio. One of the members that we have currently, she's wonderful. She started as an Emily Griffith student and went through their 11-month program. We've started to offer Emily Griffith students free membership for the duration of their class to DCM so that they can kind of work on their skills outside of class. And Marilee, she just jumped in head on.
I found out through Emily Griffith Technical College when I was taking a class for multimedia and video production. And then after that, they introduced me to DMC, and it's I'm in, I'm all in, I want to do it. It's like a lifetime opportunity. I was still in high school while taking Emily Griffith, so I was taking double the classes, but my sister encouraged me. It's no, you only have 4 more months and you got this. And it's gonna be a really tough journey. But if you have the opportunity and the courage to do it, just take it. Because it's just one time, and that one time probably be never gonna happen again.
Inclusivity and equity is extremely important to us. And we try to give the opportunity for everyone to have their voice heard, and to create their own story, to tell their own story. And we give them the tools to do that and the know-how to do that. And we have mentors available that have years of industry experience that can help guide them and teach them along the way.
I took the class to learn about podcasts so I could get more familiar with it, so I could have more hand-on practice. They also have classes on video editing. Then they have like the field equipment where you could learn how to use the field equipment as well. So it's a really good classes and they're really good teachers here, so I recommend taking them.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think right now everybody's about empowering their voice, speaking their truths, and I think this place gives us the power to exercise our freedom of speech.
Who want to receive absolutely everything it has to give.
At the Denver Community Media Center, we have certain members that have never gone to a formal college or gotten a formal education besides what they've gained here, and their profession is editing for external entities, or they get paid hourly for doing a podcast with and developing the concept for that podcast with an individual that wants to tell their story. So it's really cool to see that.
Like, just be you.
If you're trying to really take your creative art seriously, I think this has to be the first place you go if you're in Denver, Colorado. And this place just provides you unheard of access to this beautiful equipment. And if you're really trying to take your content just to that next level and really take it seriously, really trying to separate yourself from others out there, I think this place has to be in your top consideration.
Hi, I'm David Byrne.
And I'm David Byrne.
And I'm David Byrne.
And I'd like to invite you on an adventure through my imagination.
Guided by us.
We'll bend your mind through a series of experiences.
You'll see,
feel, hear,
using real neuroscience phenomena.
You don't know what you'll find in the theater of the mind. Theater of the mind.
Theater of the Mind is a new immersive experience created by David Byrne and Mala Gonker. It is a journey through a life lived backwards, led by an actor guide for 16 audience members, and it's inspired by neuroscience. So as you go, you get to experience different perceptual phenomena that really show us how easily manipulated our brains are and how nothing that we think is real may be real. What I love about immersive theater is that it has to happen in real life with other humans in the room. You cannot replicate it on a screen or even on a proscenium. It happens all around you. Theater of the Mind is multisensory. It engages every one of your senses. It surprises you with one intriguing space after another that you get to move through. And you have a role in it, and it's a very personal and individual experience as well. And it will hopefully give you a different perspective on yourself and on the world around you. The creators of Theater of the Mind were really inspired by neuroscience and wanted to help make it more accessible to a wider audience. Gradually, they realized that what they wanted to create needed to have a story and an emotional connection, and they realized that they wanted it to be a piece of immersive theater and not just an art installation.
So we agree that where we consider ourselves to be is primarily
up here. This is where we believe we are.
Theater of the Mind features an all-local cast. We have 14 incredibly talented performers, one of whom will be your guide. We have 2 local directors, Amanda Berg-Wilson and Betty Hart, who have been working on this show for many years and are continuing to see it through to make sure it maintains its excellence through the long run that we have here. David and Mala were really excited about premiering Theater of the Mind with Off Center in Denver for a couple of reasons. They loved that the DCPA and Off Center have the resources and the talent to be able to pull off a show of this scale. It's 15,000 square feet that we've built out in multiple environments with incredible detail. The Denver Center has employed well over 100 local creatives to make this show, many of whom for a long period of time have been either building it or are a part of the crew or part of the team that's running the show. It's contributing to the economy in a number of ways. Obviously, employing many people, creative people who get to work professionally in this space. The ticket revenue and the sponsorship revenue are all helping to make that possible, and the huge investment the DCPA is making in this project goes back into the local creative economy. But we're also building a community of artists and technicians and craftspeople. It's really exciting to be a part of the engine that is the Colorado creative economy and helping get people more invested, more excited, more skilled, so that new and exciting things can happen in the future. When you go through the experience, hopefully you don't notice anything except for your guide and the group around you and these amazing spaces. But behind the scenes, there are dozens of people. There's incredibly complex technology working together to make the show happen without you being aware of all the stuff behind the scenes. There's a group called Immersive Denver that has formed to be a gathering space for artists and to kind of be thought leaders and community organizers for immersive arts. Immersive Denver is partnering with Off Center and a number of other local organizations to host the Denver Immersive Gathering, November 4th through 6th this year. And it's going to be an opportunity to shine a spotlight on the immersive community here, to show the country and the world that Denver is an amazing place for immersive art, and to really showcase all that Denver has to offer.
Democracy is about participation. So knowing that we have a general election coming up on November 8th, one of the things that we wanted to do today is to really display and showcase this new accessible I Voted sticker. It's a big thing here in Denver. Stickers are a big thing. People literally will come to go vote to get their sticker. The access to the ballot is important for everybody. No matter what language you speak, no matter where in the city you decide to call home, or no matter even what your ability. It's important for folks to be able to participate fully. And one of the coolest things that we do in Denver is give you a sticker. And we have that sticker in Spanish and bilingual. But we didn't have that sticker in Braille. We didn't have it with low vision for folks that need that. We also want everybody to be able to participate, no matter your ability. So all the way down to the sticker. And this is the sticker that we've unveiled today, because it's just what we do. We're a voter-centric model, and we want to make sure that everybody has equal access. I mean, I'm not an artist, but Chloe, who's the artist, did such a great job. She was able to produce a beautiful work of art. We were able to work with a vendor to be able to print these at Braille, and they're now going to be available for folks at all of our vote centers and those who request one of these stickers.
I'm an artist and curator and a historian, believe it or not. So my love is of anthropology and history and community work, and for the last 20 plus years I've been doing that work. And when I decided to lean into my artistry, I did so with a focus on accessibility and equity. And that actually led me to create a series of really cool things here in Denver that promote that. Murals, public art exhibitions, etc. So I was actually found by representatives from the Denver Elections Division, and they reached out and they said, you know what, we want to create a sticker that is even more accessible, because I believe the very first Braille sticker was last year. So I said, you know, I'll be happy to design a sticker for you. That's an honor in itself. But let's see if we can ensure that more people kind of seen and heard, you know. So I offer the idea of actually using low vision friendly colors. And unless you're someone navigating disability, particularly low vision, you won't even know that's a thing. But once you begin to lose your vision, if your central vision is compromised like myself, or if it's your peripheral, certain colors are harder for your eye to receive. So we wanted to ensure that all the colors in the sticker were low vision friendly. So I have Stargardt disease, and Stargardt disease is a very rare form of macular degeneration. Not much is known about it. There are persons and foundations doing research, but there currently is no cure. So I found out literally at a routine eye exam 4 years ago. And I had never heard of Stargardt disease before this. And I said, well, give it to me straight. Like, what am I dealing with here? He said, well, you're gonna lose your vision. I can't tell you when, but you're going to lose your vision. I said, well, what's the upside? He said, well, there are 2 forms that we know of with Stargardt disease. And the first form typically robs you of your vision between the ages of 10 and 12, give or take. And yours is the one that is less aggressive, so it kind of allows you a little bit more time. But again, we're not sure when essentially the curtain will close. So I left that visit and I honestly just had to have a moment. I'm a woman of faith, so I was really focused on prayer and meditation, and I talked with my husband, and we got this diagnosis 2 weeks before we were supposed to move to Denver. I went to prayer, meditation, and I literally asked God, how do I show up with this? How do I serve in this season? Because I'd worked as an arts administrator, I'd worked in government, and everything I'd created for 20 years required sight. But I believe that this is sight of a different kind. The sight that you can lean into something when you don't know what's going to happen next. So we did move. And I knew in my heart that there would be amazing people to greet us and opportunities to bring people together through the work. So I tell people all the time, they're just like, how is your vision a part of your work? My vision, my experience is my work. The work that I create would not be the same work if I was not losing my vision. It's like if you're a person of color or you're a person a part of the LGBT community, your experience, if you allow it to, colors, supports, and enhances your work. So everything we've done for the past several years is to lean into the work here in Denver. And it's been a really meaningful experience. So I tell people all the time, like, you don't have to have a diagnosis to show up. We all made it through a pandemic. We all know people who didn't. So if you wake up tomorrow, let's go. I want to encourage everyone to get out and do their civic duty. Vote. It's important. Your voice matters. All the corny cliche things I could say, but truly, I want you to get out and vote. And for all my persons who are navigating disability, I want you to get out and vote. I want you to pick up your beautiful, accessible sticker, and I want you to know that you are voting in a city and county that values you. And is very intentional in their programming and their support of you. And if you have questions or concerns, reach out to them. But I want you to take great pride during this voting season. And I wish you all the best.
We recognize that we have a problem that we have to work together collaboratively to tackle in our city, across the metro area, and the state of Colorado.
Denver recently hosted the first Fentanyl Action Summit, which brought local and national public health experts together to address the complex range of issues dealing with the fentanyl crisis.
Fentanyl is the worst drug crisis of all time. Really, no pill and no powder are safe now if you've gotten them on the black markets.
An opioid is a narcotic, pain-relieving medication that can also produce a euphoric effect, and we know that they're also highly addictive.
Fentanyl is really strong, and it's not a drug that people can just experiment with and have it be okay. We have a 2-day summit about fentanyl and its effects on our community. We brought together experts in many different fields, including harm reduction, recovery, treatment, and prevention. And we're just trying to get everybody talking and networking and presenting some great new material on how to tackle this problem in our city.
Really, the goal of the conference is to save lives and show people that everyone has a role in that. We have to have partnerships to address this issue because it's so complex, whether that's treatment providers, community-based organizations, government, even citizens of Denver coming together to address the issue. It's going to require everybody.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'm excited to be here today to moderate our panel on education and awareness, a discussion about communication and resource needs in different communities across the state of Colorado.
The main thing I'm trying to do when I talk to people is raise awareness about the fentanyl problem. And there's so many different aspects of it, where it comes from. I kind of specialize in the China reporting about how fentanyl originates in China, goes through Mexico, comes to the US, but also how it's distributed, how it's used, and how the problem is addressed at all levels. For procedures like open heart surgery, it was really a revelation. But the problem is that for the same reason it's good as a medical drug, it's bad as a drug of abuse. It comes on quickly and fades away quickly, meaning that users, when they're addicted, have to re-up over and over again.
So some of the things we're talking about are strategies to improve access to treatment. Mobile units can be used, or funding can be used to help increase the number of providers so we have more people going into treatment and hopefully achieving recovery. Harm reduction strategies and destigmatizing are also being highlighted here.
Just briefly on opioid side effects. So like I said, it's a narcotic pain relieving medication, but it also slows your physiology. So it leads to things in the body that would be the result of that slowing. So constipation and nausea are some of the most common symptoms of the gastrointestinal slowing. But the most dangerous would be respiratory depression. So opioids act on receptors in our brain that trigger us to breathe. And when there's an opioid there, it slows it down, and that can slow it all the way. And so someone can stop breathing, which can lead to death. Or better yet, if you have Narcan, you can reverse it. Narcan's an opioid antagonist that restores breathing functions by blocking the effects of opioids.
Carrying naloxone, carrying Narcan is an effective way to reverse an overdose. If you see somebody that you think may be having an overdose, you can administer Narcan and call 911. It's not going to hurt them, even if they're not having an opiate overdose, but it can save their life.
I think the biggest challenge with fentanyl is addiction is a very challenging disease. It requires approaches from many different angles to cure it, to treat it, to work with it. Fentanyl in particular is a really dangerous drug, and when it's used, it can cause serious harm and even death in any amount.
I'm a big proponent of harm reduction, which means that, we don't stigmatize, we don't punish drug users. We try to educate them first and help them use more safely. Ideally, people wouldn't be using bad drugs like fentanyl at all. It's almost impossible to measure it safely, but if they are, we need to make sure they have Narcan available, and for addicted users, we need to make sure there's a variety of medical assisted treatments available. We've got the drugs out there to help people, we just need to make sure people are getting them.
The people suffering from these addictions are people like you and me, and it can happen to anyone. It's our loved ones, it's our neighbors, our friends, our family, our coworkers, and to really try to decrease that stigma that's out there against drug use, and I think that would be a great step towards helping this problem.
I think the main takeaway from the conference is that everybody can do something to address this issue. Everybody should have the Colorado Crisis Hotline phone number in their phones, and be prepared to call that number either for yourself, for a loved one, for somebody you care about, for a coworker. It could be anybody. So in the same way that everybody has a role in addressing this issue, it could affect anybody as well.
So the Denver Animal Shelter is the government open admission full service animal shelter for the city and county of Denver, meaning that we never turn an animal away. We take in animals in all types of circumstances. We're the safety net. We are the last resort. We are here regardless of anything that happens. We are a social service agency. This shelter actually is very fortunate because we actually have a behavior team. We have two people that's their whole job is to work on behavior of animals. So it's a whole regimen that we give these animals and give them a chance to blossom. Sometimes putting them into foster care, just like an animal that's super stressed here, our behavior team will work with the foster home also to give them tips on how to transform this animal's behavior, basically, and build confidence so that they become adoptable.
So I'm one of two, and we do a behavior assessment on essentially every animal that comes into the building. So be it dogs, cats, reptiles, turtles, pigs. We do some sort of behavior assessment. Obviously, it looks a little different depending on species. So that means hands-on exams, assessments, resource testing on every animal to see if there's any alarming issues, along with dog testing, dog-to-dog tests with our larger dogs. This is Willa. She came to us as a stray, so we don't know much about her. She was found roaming the streets, and someone brought her in as a stray. She doesn't have a microchip. Microchips are the fastest best way to get your dog back home to you. So part of our behavior assessment is doing a body handling segment of sorts. It's generally what your dog would go through kind of at a vet's office. So we really just want to see how they tolerate being a little bit uncomfortable. Sometimes they snap at us, sometimes they try to bite us. The key is being quicker than they are, or reading the body language is most important. That's part of our training when we get into this role, and beforehand is really reading the whole dog. So what we'll do for body handling is kind of like your general petting, checking on some ears, lifting up their legs. Can I see your back leg? Good girl. Giving them little hugs. Good job. Come here. And just seeing how they respond to it. When we're spending time with the animal, we try to work on those skills like sit, don't jump, so that when they go to an adoptive home, they already have a good foundation. So on our adoption floor, if you come down and visit, you might notice that each dog is assigned a quote-unquote level. The level is 1 through 5. 1 is usually our puppies. There's nothing alarming about it. He's just a puppy who needs basic training. Up to a level 5. Level 5 does not at all mean it is a bad dog. It just means it's a dog that would do better with a more experienced home. When we do our behavior assessments, we try to fit them into a level. There's lots of areas of gray, but we try so then people coming in looking for adoptable dogs will have a good idea of who may be a good fit for them. So that's where our levels fit in. It's just kind of a guiding point that we can lean on when we're doing adoption counselings and looking for the right homes.
So the adoption process is people can come in, we're open 7 days a week, and they can view our kennels, and then if they find a pet that they want, they come to the front desk and we have a counselor that will take the animal into a room where they can interact with the animal, do a little bit of matchmaking to find out if this animal is appropriate for their lifestyle or their wants and wishes, to try to set them up for success, both the adopter and the animal. A lot of people don't, want to turn an animal into a shelter because they think we're going to kill it. They think, but if you hear about some of the stories where they come from, sometimes the best thing that ever happens to these animals is they enter a shelter. Lots of times animals come in and they're shut down and broken, and you see them actually blossom in a shelter environment because of all the care and compassion that we give these animals, and it's extremely rewarding to see them have a second chance.
I think we can learn a lot from these kiddos of keeping trust and forgiveness. So I think a lot of us take that with us into our daily lives. Like, we may have an animal who was significantly abused, and a lot of times they are the most trusting, most social, loving animal, and you're just kind of in awe of how do you trust any human being ever again, but they do. And a lot of times they have a great life after this. It's just getting them to that point where they're healthy and behaviorally they realize the world isn't a scary place. So yeah, it can be very rewarding with the challenges.
Stay elevated by subscribing to the city's YouTube page for these stories and more. And stay tuned to our social media channels for more content. Don't miss our new episodes of Elevating Denver, premiering each month. Thanks for watching, Denver.